Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Strikeout Bros. It's Pablo and Lasha. What's up, Lasha? How's it going, bro?
What's going on, man? I can't believe we're already on episode 16. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we're doing it, man. We keep continuing to, bring it to you. And today's episode is gonna be super interesting. I hope you guys like it. It's gonna be, a lot of informational, stats on what's going on in the league. It's a weird season, and we're gonna be talking about why. And the name of the episode is Under 500 and Still in the Race. So, I have a serious problem with what's going on in the league right now. Let me explain something to you. I'm old school. I remember when the three divisional leaders made the postseason, followed by the next best record, right, being the wild card in both leagues, right? So basically, if you win a division, you're in the postseason, and then the next best record, boom, wild card, and you slide right in. Basically, back in the day, if you were over 500, this is how you got to the playoffs. You had to play hard and you had to have a good season, and you would slide right into the playoffs with no problem, right? You put in the work, and there you go. You're fighting for the championship. Not anymore. This is how I feel. I feel like I personally think that it's gotten out of hand, especially on the National League side, right? There's only four teams on the National League side that are way above 500. Philly, the Dodgers, the Brewers, and the Braves. Right? These are the four teams that are fighting for their lives. Right? They play hard every single day. These are the teams that I want to see in the postseason. Because they put in the work. Right? And then you have mediocre teams like San Diego and St. Louis. San Diego, I believe, is like 3 games above 500, and St. Louis is like probably 1, 2 games above 500. So we're not even gonna count those guys.
The
You
Mets,
know,
too, they're in the wild card race, too.
yeah,
Don't forget.
yeah. Listen, I'm a Met fan, but let me explain something to you. I don't want to slide into the postseason that way. Play hard, play above your means. Make sure you're playing way above 500. And I feel like a team like that deserves to be in the playoffs. All right, everybody's fighting for a wild card slot right now. It's a tight race, right? So there's only two teams in the National League that prior to the All Star break are going to be sellers, and this is guaranteed because they have no shot at making a wild card, no matter how complicated the wild card is now and how easy it is to get in because there's three wild cards. It's insane to me. So like Colorado is out of it. Miami is out of it. All right. So they're definitely gonna be sellers. Miami got rid of their best hitter not too long ago, sent them to the Padres. And the Padres are, they're doing well right now because they're fighting for that last wild card slot. But it makes no sense to me how teams below 500 are getting into the playoffs, right? I'm definitely not a fan of it. Even though my team is in that situation right now, I'm definitely not a fan of it. You know, before baseball became a cash cow, right? Those four teams I just mentioned, Philly, Atlanta, Milwaukee, and the other team was the Milwaukee Brewers, right? These teams would have slid right into the playoffs with no problem. This is what I'm talking about. And now with the cash cow system, that's what I'm gonna call it. Imagine how much extra money MLB is making because of this. It really makes me sick to my stomach, right? Due to the fact, right, that everyone is competing for this wild card, there's gonna be more buyers and barely any sellers, right? Meaning that these sellers, they're gonna be getting away with murder, right? They're gonna ask for a lot when it comes to these players that they want to get rid of because there's a high demand for these players. That's what it is. So basically, there's like maybe five teams out there that are gonna be sellers. We thought Toronto was gonna be a big seller, but we don't know yet because they're 6.5 games out of the wild card, and they think they still have a shot. I mean, there's more than half a season of baseball left, so who blames them because of the system that's been put in play. Who blames them for thinking that they still have a shot? They have a lot of baseball left, and they have a lot of great stars, right? So if I'm hoping that they say, you know what, we're not gonna make it. We had an episode last week when we were talking about how these guys were gonna be the guys making the most, moves and getting a lot of prospects for these guys because they have a lot of good talent on that team, and now it looks like they're not even going to be selling. So we only have like 5 teams that are probably going to be sellers because of how low in the standings they're in. So you have the Chicago White Sox, you have the Anaheim Angels, you have the Oakland A's, you have Colorado, and what's the other team we just finished talking about in the National League? Colorado and Miami. Okay, so these are the teams that are definitely gonna be sellers. What do you think, Lash? What do you think about what I'm saying? I know you think, in a different way, and I'm excited to hear all about it.
So, just to iterate for everybody, our definition of true contenders are teams that are 10 games or better above 500. If you're 3 or 4 games above 500, I can't take you seriously because all it takes is for you to go on a 4-game losing streak or 5-game losing streak and you're back to 500 or less. So, or even if you're already currently under 500 and you've lost 4 in a row, you just get further. So, but because of the third wildcard team, this is what happens. So back to a topic we had earlier, the previous podcast, we talked about what happens if we reduce the games. So my thinking is if we reduce the games, it makes it so that when you're already this late into the season, less teams would probably be under 500 and you have more competitiveness and you have more teams fighting for the wild card, and it makes it so there's more parity in the game. It's not good for baseball. They always say, why do we keep losing fans? I don't get it. I'll tell you why they're losing fans. It has nothing to do with the game being boring. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with that fact that 11 out of 30 teams are under 500. And I'm sorry, if you're one of those teams that are under 500 and still considered a playoff contender or in a race, you don't count in my opinion because you're most likely not going to make the playoffs. Because if you're under 500, you should not make the call. You shouldn't even be allowed to be. For me, in order to be a wild card contender, you have to be 500 or better. Anything less than that, you are not, in my opinion, you're not considered a wild card team.
Exactly.
And that's why I would say that I didn't make it more exciting. You know what I would do if I was a commissioner too? I'd say if you're the only teams that are allowed to make severe trades for star players are teams that are in the playoff hunt because those are the teams that want to get better and try to improve themselves. You know what I mean? So it makes it more exciting and then allows you to get what you need if you're one of those teams that are contending. So if you're a team that's 500 or better, you are the only teams that are allowed to bid for those top players on teams that are not in the playoff running. So, for example, right, if I'm trying to get Pete Alonso from the Mets, right, and I'm the Braves, right, and I know the Mets are probably not going to make the playoffs, right, a team like the Braves should be allowed to trade for Alonso. But if you're a team like the Arizona Diamondbacks or you're St. Louis and you're just barely hanging, you don't qualify for those type of player to at least be in consideration for trading for a Pete Alonso, someone with that cachet. So I would reduce the season and get rid of that third wild card team, and then I think you have more parity in the game, and it just be more. You get real results of all right, this team is actually a real playoff contender because we're in a 60-game season. Look how they're already, we're already in the midsummer, and look how far they are, and you can really tell. So that's why I think they should reduce the season. But I do agree with you. Like in football a couple years ago, the Washington team, they made the playoffs because they were in the worst division, and they finished with the best record in that division. The best record in that division that year was 7-9. And now in baseball, right, if you have, let's just say the NL Central is completely washed and every team in that division is under 500, I think what should happen is the next best team. So if you have the NL East and there's 3 good teams that are 10 games or better above 500, that third team in the NL East should represent the team in the NL Central because the NL Central does not have good enough teams to represent that division. So for that reason, because for example, right, how is that? It would not be fair that the Cardinals finish, a game under. It finished 80-82, but they make the wild card because they won that division. But meanwhile, the Mets are 10 games above 500, and they don't make it because we have to have a representative from each division. I'm sorry, if your division is not good enough to represent, then you that team is out for that division, and the next best team comes in. That's how it should be done.
I understand what you're saying. So basically, what you're saying is, let's just get rid of the divisions altogether and have 15 teams fighting, and the top four teams make the playoffs. Right? That's what you're saying to me right now. So you're basically saying to me, let's get rid of the division altogether. But you know what? The division makes it interesting. I like the division. All right. So let the the leader in the division make the playoffs. Right? We have three divisions in each league. All right, that's fine. Let's make, because you have that little fight, that little race going on between these five teams in each division. That's cool, you know what I'm saying? Because it makes it, super interesting in a way where you can, like, just focus on your division. All right, this is what used to happen to me back in the day. Like I said, a couple of years ago, prior to this podcast, I would focus on my division. All right, and I pretty much knew all the great players in that division, but I wasn't looking outside of the division because it didn't matter at that time. We were playing a lot of divisional games. Now that we're playing everyone in the league, it's changed a little bit. So we're playing less divisional games, and we're seeing a little bit of everybody. So it changes the dynamic of the season, right? But I like the divisional race, because you can focus on that if you're a baseball fan and you don't really have to look outside. But if you're saying that you want the best teams out of those 15, teams in that league to make the playoffs, then what you're basically telling me is that you want to get rid of the divisions altogether. You understand what I'm saying? This is what you basically told me.
No, what I would do is because it's 12 teams that currently make the playoffs, or is it 10 teams in
It's way
both?
too many. It's way too many. So yeah, basically you have the three divisional leaders, right? And then you have
So
three wild cards. So that's
so it's
six and
12
six.
total.
That's 12 total.
So what I was saying is you you take the six best records from both divisions, the six best records
Mm,
from the NL, take the
mm.
six best records from the
The
AL,
AL.
and if you're not, that makes sense because if you're not, and if your division happens to not be one of those top six teams, then you don't make it. That's just the way it is.
I
Big
understand.
reason why I like that because then you have a true understanding of like who are the six best teams in each division.
I got
Because
you.
for
But then there's
example,
no.
if you do it the current style, right? If the sixth best team is in the NL East, which has three teams, that third team in the NL East is not going to make it because we had to put somebody else from that division to make up so that way every division is represented. That's not fair.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but that's the funny thing about it, right? So, like, there are divisions in the league, right, in the National and the American League, where there are teams in the division that are super better than the other divisions. All right, so the National League East is way stronger than the majority of the divisions. Well, then you have the West, right? The West is funny because you have good teams there, but they're not better than the Dodgers. There's no way that anybody's gonna overpower the Dodgers or win that division. All right, that division is theirs before the season even starts, right? So you have that problem, right? So I see what you're saying. So let's get rid of the divisions altogether. Then, if we're gonna do that, let's get rid of the divisions because the National League East is the strongest division in the National League, and it's pretty obvious that the American League East is the strongest division. Well, things are changing now in the American League. All right, because now you have teams like the Guardians doing things, and they play in the Central, correct? So you have a team like the Guardians who have been able to excel and get right the ship and get really really good over the last couple of years, right? Even after getting rid of the Lindors, and then you have the American League East, who I used to think was the best division in the American League when they had Toronto and they had the Baltimore Orioles trying to, right the
Tampa Bay.
ship. Tampa Bay, another team that constantly made the playoffs. You have Boston, Boston was always there, and the Yankees, all right? So that division was really overpowered, you know? They were the best division, and they had a lot of great teams. Now, is it due to demographics and where they sit, and those guys playing on the East Coast. It's funny how a lot of the teams on the East Coast, they spend a lot of money and they have a lot of great players and they do things differently. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and it's just interesting like that. What do you think?
Thing I'm starting to realize too, I was thinking about it, is that baseball has changed over the years. You no longer have rivalries anymore, I've noticed. And rivalries made that divisions better because these guys are truly head to head. They really cared about playing each other and they really want to knock each other off. Now everyone's buddy buddy, so they don't try as hard and it's all about rubbing everybody's belly and asking how your family's doing. So the days of the Yankees and the Red Sox, or even when the Mets and the Yankees played each other, crosstown rivals, it was intense because they hated each other. So it made you earn those runs. And now it's like, nah, who cares? Like, so that's why
Yeah,
divisions were more tighter because they actually cared. So I think that definitely has to do with why the baseball is going down the road it's going down as far as not being as competitive and the division races not being as tight as it once was.
yeah, I hate it too. I hate it too. I don't like when these guys get a double and there's a banter going on at second base. I hate it. It bothers me. It's another thing that bothers me. Let me explain something to you. The other day I was watching the Mets play, and it was an ESPN game. It's the same day that Edwin Diaz got ejected prior to throwing his first pitch because he had a sticky substance in his hand, and ESPN was really serious about zooming in on his hands, and there was a lot of stuff
That
going
was
on there.
Chicago, right?
That was Chicago, yes, Chicago. So during the game, they had Pete Alonso mic'd up, and while he's playing defense, and these guys, the analysts are having a conversation with him while he's playing defense. Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Let this guy concentrate on his job. And I wonder. We're gonna have to look it up. Has there ever been a player that was being interviewed while he was playing defense and fumbled the play? You know what I'm saying? Because he was too busy concentrating on answers and trying to answer politically correct. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to look it up. We're gonna get back to you on that, guys. But we don't have a team here that can look that stuff up. Look that stuff up for us. Like it's a two-man show. So we're gonna get back to you on that. But that's ridiculous to me. Why are you interviewing my first baseman when he's trying to play defense? It's ridiculous. This is what the sport is. The sport is. Is going in
Well,
the wrong direction. That's my personal opinion.
oh,
Listen.
you know why they do the on-field interviews? Because they want to be like football. Because football, you hear the loud mics, you hear everything's going. It's cool. They want to get the fans involved, but also that's on the player. What the that falls on ESPN and the player because the player could have just not said anything, completed the play, and then just like went on with the interview. But he was trying to multitask and it didn't work. Um, at a if you ask the player, hey, did you fumble the play because Alex Rodriguez was asking you a dumb question on the live broadcast, he's not going to admit to it, but obviously it probably is. I know I can't. If you ask me a question and I'm trying to do something at work, pushing a patient, on the stretcher, I'm probably gonna make some mistake, But who knows? But I don't know. It's stupid to have the on-field interview, in my opinion. Do it between innings if you really want to
Yes.
interview these guys.
Yes. I mean, mic them up if you want, and let them, focus on each other, and so you can hear the sounds of the game. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Don't
All right, but
interview them.
don't interview them. This is ridiculous to me. Don't interview them. That's crazy. I hate it. There's a lot of things that I guess I'm getting older, and I feel like the sport is going in the wrong direction. There's a lot of things that I like that they want to implement into the game, but this is one of them that I definitely don't like. It's just me. This is me. I'm just getting older, and I wanted to come back to let's come back down to the to the ground. Let's just leave that alone. Let's not play with that. But whatever. Let's talk about Edwin Diaz. All right, we knew that Edwin Diaz had a lot of problems, after coming back, and he didn't have control. He lost a couple of games for the Mets when, we bring him in to, get the save. And now he gets caught with the sticky stuff. I mean, listen, I was watching the game, and it was pretty blatant that, there was something going on there. There was some blue stuff going on there, some dark black stuff, and you could tell that, the sand was sticking to his hand really well. And, he was very, relaxed and calm about the situation, as if he had no idea what was going on. But, well, I mean, he played his position. What was he supposed to say? Yeah, you caught me. Yeah. I mean, listen, he had a couple of good games prior to getting caught with that sticky stuff. Now he has to pay out the league, and he's down for 10 games. And this happens right prior to the Yankee series. I understand it's a 2-game series. The Yankees, weren't doing too well prior to, meeting the Mets at Citi Field. They lost 3 series in a row. The Mets have been amazing. It's a feel-good story of the league. They're the best team in baseball right now. They won 16 out of 22 games. They haven't lost a series yet since getting swept by the Dodgers in late May. I mean, who knows what's going on over there? What are they smoking? They're playing really well. It's I don't know. Listen, I'm a Met fan. I know what's gonna happen. And hopefully I'm wrong, but these guys gonna fall. They're gonna fall apart. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about it on the podcast. These guys were sellers all the way. I didn't want to keep Alonso around. I really wanted to get McNeil out of there. For some reason, McNeil is still playing when you have Iglesias there. Iglesias has proven day in and day out that he belongs on second base. But since, McNeil's getting paid the big bucks, of course they're going to put him in the game. Whatever. He got 2 hits last night, where they, really, nice hits. No, they weren't. He got lucky. I'm saying he got lucky. Everybody else, though, is really hitting the ball. JD Martinez has become a monster. Alvarez came back from that injured thumb, and he's a force, man. I love the way he catches these, top of the rotation guys. He commands attention. He's a really good player. He's hitting the ball really well. We took the first game from the Yankees. We hit the ball really well. We destroyed Mr. Cole. And, I bump into these Yankee fans, and they're like, oh, Cole's not ready to come back. So why is he on the mound? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear excuses. The Mets are playing really well, and they're showing signs of life. Like, you don't take that away from them. But I know what's going to happen at the end. We play well, and then all of a sudden, when it comes down to it, and we're getting really close to ending the season, we fall apart, and we don't even make it to the postseason. But hey, hopefully I'm wrong this year. Mr. Stearns seems like he knows what he's doing. He's said it multiple times over. This is a team that I put together, and I felt like they seriously had a chance at making the postseason. And now it's starting to show, But like I said, we'll see. So now we're in that pack of National League teams that are fighting for this last wild card, which is hilarious to me, right? As much as I hate it, listen, if the Mets make the playoffs, I'm gonna dare to say that they deserve it because of the way they've been playing. Like, think about it, 16 out of 22 games. That's insane. And we've been, hitting the ball off of a lot of great pitches. And you have to understand that, our schedule is going to get a little tough because of what's going on in the league. We have to play the Nationals 7 games in the beginning of next month, and we have to fight Pittsburgh as well. And we even bump into Paul Skeens. I want to see that. I actually want to see what the Mets can do against him. We're being, patient at the plate. We're doing all the right things. We're stealing. We're double stealing. We're doing all types of crazy things that, I knew this team was capable of doing, but we never actually got to see it. But now, for some reason, the Mets are magical. It's kind of crazy. And, tonight we're playing the last game of the series with the Yankees. I believe we were winning 3-0 last time I was watching prior to jumping on this podcast tonight. And there's a rain delay going on at Citi Field right now. It's coming down pretty hard, and we'll see what happens, But we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. And We're also going to be playing the Houston Astros pretty soon, and the Astros have gotten pretty hot lately. And yeah, they were able to sweep the O's. We're going to talk about the O's right now because the O's are very interesting. The O's are very interesting. This is your team, and I want you to set it off on that because I have a lot of things to say, but you know what? I'm going to let you talk about them first because that's your team.
Yeah, so the problem with Baltimore right now, they just lost another starter for the year, Bradish. He's gonna have to get UCL surgery. They just, you run into buzzsaws once in a while. Houston, they're always contenders every year. Right now, they're under 500. But the weekend was kind of rough series. So the game on Friday, they were down 14-3. I was like, this game's over. I'm sitting at the airport. I'm about to go fly home to Jersey. I was like, I just turned it off. I put on the Stanley Cup, and I said, you know what? Let me go back. Maybe something might happen because Baltimore's a feisty team. They always fight back. They're not gonna just surrender and let you walk over. Well, they end up not doing that. I turn the game back on, and before you know it, it's 14-11. I said, "Oh wow, we have a chance. We might win." Well, that didn't happen, and then game 2 and 3, they just got shut out. They just scored 3 runs, I think, total, and they just could not score runs. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if they just used up all their energy in that Friday night game hitting home runs. But problem with Baltimore and the problem with every team that's a home run hitting team is that eventually you wear out, and then when you can't score the home runs, it's like, uh-oh, how do I score runs now? It's like a car. You know what I mean? Every day you drive a car, but you don't have a backup plan when the car breaks down.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. They didn't realize, oh wait, I can go get on a bicycle and go to work or get an Uber. So now they were out of luck, and I think Houston ran into us at the right time. And then they're playing Cleveland. Cleveland had won 7 in a row prior to today, and Cleveland's a hot team. They're the number 1 team in the AL Central. So it's just gonna happen. I'm not worried about. See, this is why it's good if you're 10 games or above 500. So when you do have slips, it's not gonna hurt you, and it helps that the Yankees are losing to the Mets because if the Yankees had won all those games in the games that
Yeah.
because the Yankees in that weekend when Baltimore played Houston, Yankees played Atlanta and they lost 2 out of 3. So if the Yankees had swept Atlanta and they had taken two games out of New York, the Orioles would be already 5 games out of first place. And they're saying it's getting late early, and
Yeah.
the
Totally.
more you fall behind in that division, and we noticed, sometimes it's not bad to be a wild card winner. Look at the Diamondbacks and the Texas Rangers; they're both wild card teams, and they went far. So maybe it's not the end of the world, but when you're playing a team like the Yankees, and the Yankees have more offense than the Orioles, and they have better pitching staff. And that's crazy thing about Baltimore is that they're 5-2 against the Yankees overall, but because they keep losing and the Yankees keep winning, they keep falling behind. But right now they're 1.5 games out if the game ends today. So it's not the end of the world. Like I said, yeah, we had a little 5-game losing streak. It happens. But they just got my biggest concern for Baltimore is their pitching staff. They lost 2 starters. Burns has been okay. Rodriguez has been good. Other than that, I don't know. They're going to have to get somebody. I don't know what they're going to do. But I'm not going to worry about it. It's interesting. But I think the more exciting team right now has definitely been the Mets. Their starting pitching has been, by far, in my opinion, the biggest surprise and the biggest upswing for the Mets for the most part. And if the Mets continue doing what they're doing, like I've said before, they might just keep what they have and not trade anybody. And I know you don't want to hear that because you want to rebuild the system. So if you can trade people and get assets back, and knowing that the Mets, that they can re-sign those guys they let go via trade, then do that. But if they keep winning and they're now, oh, wait, we're only a game under 500. Oh, well, look, we're 3 games out of a wild card spot. Let's hold our ground and see what happens. Guess what? Next Monday is July already. You know what that means? We're 4 weeks away from the trade deadline, not even.
Mm-hmm.
So now if they're playing above 500 ball and they're 2 games out of a wild card, guess what the Mets are going to do? They're going to have no choice but to keep who they have.
Yeah.
Or they could do what Baltimore did last year or 2 years ago. They were like 2 or 3 games out of a wild card. They end up selling anyway because they knew I think about the future, and that's what they did. we weren't happy about it because we let go of our best closer at the time, who was Jorge Lopez, former Met, and all these other guys. Trey Mancini, and now Trey Mancini's not even playing in the league anymore.
Listen, it worked
So,
out for them. It worked out for them.
oh, he might
And
be
look
in
at,
Chicago, but still. So that's a decision the Mets got to make, and it goes back to the topic why teams under 500 should not be allowed to be in playoff contention.
yeah, it bothers me. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, the Mets. But you know what? Let's go back to the O's. The O's, man, they played so well, and I remember, us, talking right prior to the Yankee series, and I told you that they were going to prevail, and you were optimistic. You were, you were. I don't know. You were like, yeah, hopefully we win. You weren't too, you weren't
I
sure,
was too
and
confident that they're
yeah,
going to
you
win the
weren't too
division.
confident, but I told you that they were going to prevail, and they did, and they played Atlanta. They destroyed them too, and they played the Phillies, and they were able to pull that off too. And I don't know. I love that team. I love that team. It's not because they wear orange, and not because you love them, and it makes me look in a little harder. I just like the ball club. I like what they're doing, and you know when they hit that wall with Houston, and they lost the Houston series, they lost the Cleveland series. Thank God they were able to stop the bleeding today, and they won. And I want to see them move on. But it's funny because that division is crazy because now the Yankees, like I said, they lost 3 series in a row. If they lose tonight, that'll be 4 in a row, and they're struggling as well. And me and my dad were watching the game. My dad's here from Puerto Rico, and he's gonna be here for a couple of weeks. And we were kind of like arguing over like how the pitching staff on the Mets side was pitching to the Yankees. I was telling him you can't, lay it down the pipe. My dad loves it. He's like, you know what, just pitch to them and we'll figure it out. No, you can't because you have to, you know, get them off balance. You have to kind of like trick the lineup. Look what happened last night. Judge hit a grand slam, right? Soto hit his blast too, so yeah, is it
Yeah, you can't
expected?
you can't pit you can't
You
pitch to the
can't pitch to these
devil. You got to
guys.
dance around them.
And you have to dance around them. You have to make them, you have to make them, a little, you have to make them dizzy. You have to try to, you have to
You
get
got
them
to
off
make them earn
balance.
it. You know
You
what I
have to
mean?
make them
Because
earn it.
you
You
can't
can't
just
pitch to
let.
them.
Yeah.
All right? A 3-0 count to Judge or Soto isn't a bad thing. It isn't a bad thing. You have to work your way around it. You have to be a little crazy on the mound. You have to, make them guess, and just because it's a 3-2 count doesn't mean that you have to lay one down the middle. You can, make it look good, but it doesn't necessarily have to go down the pipe. You have to, you have to make them, really think about what's going on over there. And this is how you beat the Yankees. Once you get past the first 4 guys, you're in business. That's what you have to understand. I already knew that, their bullpen kind of sucks. They're having trouble. Our bullpen is, I think way better than theirs. But I already knew that, late in the game, the Yankees were gonna make their move. Thank God we scored a lot against Cole and we were able to destroy him. I love saying that word. We destroyed him. And today as well, they had the number 2 on the mound. I'm gonna really say that they're number 1 on the mound, because he's been around and he had a 9-2 record prior to today, and we lit him up too. And I just finished looking at the score. It's 4-2 right now. Rain delay, 1 out, man on second and third for the Mets in the bottom of the fourth, I believe. And come on, man, we're gonna chew them apart. I can't wait. Excuse me, bottom of the fifth, man on second and third with 1 out. Okay, 4-0 New York Mets. All right, this is a team that's 38 and 39. All right. We haven't seen 500, I believe, all season. We played horribly. But June has been our month. Lindor's hitting like a maniac. JD Martinez, Alvarez, Nemo. And then we have the second tier cast. Vientos his 2 home runs last night, earning his slot at third base. It's pretty insane. Like I said, I love the youth on our team, and I feel like we need to make the right moves to get better faster. But being that we're in a race right now, unfortunately, because of this silly wild card situation that we have in play now for the last couple of years now, I believe it's been like 3 years now, and it doesn't make any sense, but it's making a lot of things interesting. I just saw a little. update that St. Louis, who's also in the wild card race, just finished beating Atlanta as well. Atlanta's been struggling. So St. Louis is in the fight for that last wild card. Atlanta just lost. If the Mets win today, then they move up as well. Are we going to be able to catch Atlanta? Mm, the season is long. You never know. You never know. The way the Mets are playing right now, you just never know.
No, you don't know. And I remember saying in the beginning of the year, I said, I won't worry about the Mets yet. I'll wait till the weather gets warmer. And because the
You
one
said
thing I've
that.
known working in New York as an EMT, and just for some reason, the New York teams, it takes longer for the weather to get hot. But when the weather does get hot, they start hitting home runs. The balls that they were hitting hard in April, they weren't getting out. But now that it's warmer, the humidity helps. It just, the ball travels better. And that's what's happening. They're getting the power bats going. Like I said, Vientos is contributing. Alvarez, ever since he's came back from his rehab stints, he's been doing great. And so, like I said, as a Mets fan, I don't blame you because every year they do well, and then the shoe drops on your head, and you're like, "What happened?"
No,
You
I know what
know,
happened. I know what
you know what I
happened. The
mean.
same thing that happens
Just
every
like,
year.
or it's not what happened. It's like, why did this happen again? My question I want to ask you is, what does your dad think about? Do you think they should trade everybody, or what does he think?
No, of course he's on fire right now. He loves it. He's like, to be honest with you, right now at this moment, like I don't even think we need anything. We need maybe one pitcher, and that pitcher is Sengai, right? And he hasn't pitched this year yet. And maybe when he comes in, he can make a difference. I mean, the rotation right now is it's pretty amazing how McGill has turned into a different animal. He's throwing a lot harder. I don't know what happened to this guy. It took him a while to develop and figure it out, but now it's like after he came back, it's like, wow, who is this guy? Right? And Peterson as well, these are the guys that we had in the rotation for a couple of years now. And, looking back, they were never really able to figure it out. But now, for some reason, they're doing all the right things. Severino playing for a contract this year because, he only got a 1 year contract from the Mets. He's playing like Nolan Ryan or something crazy. I don't know what it is. His last start, 10 Ks, and fighting hard. We have a pretty decent staff. So, like, what do we do? Do we keep developing Christian Scott and bring him back upstairs? You know, he's a fireballer. We have a lot of options. So, like, and hopefully Sengai can come back and contribute. But I don't think we need any pieces. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think, like I said, there's not a lot of sellers out there. I believe it's going to be like 5 teams that are going to be selling. If Toronto decides to sell, then we can look at players like, Chris Bassett. We can look at,
Have him come back.
have him come back and contribute to our club. But then that means that we have to get rid of one of our guys from the rotation. I don't know if that's gonna be the right thing to do. Maybe we wait for a guy to
Yes, it
come back.
would. I would
You think
definitely. I
so?
would. I would. Yes, Bassett's way better than any other guys you have in your rotation.
I mean, you
Mania
say
for
that now.
Bassett.
I
I'll
mean,
take a Bassett any
mm,
day.
I don't know. I don't know. Manaya, you say that, but these guys have something going on. They have chemistry going on, and they're playing better because of that. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand that it's a team effort, and the Mets have they figured it out. I don't think that getting rid of any one of these guys is in a help situation. Now, what I do feel is that McNeil shouldn't be playing right now. Maybe we should send him downstairs for a week or two so he can hit, the the minor league club pitching, you know what I'm saying? Where he can like get back into a groove and have Iglesias play every day, And I don't know, but he shouldn't be in the lineup. Marte was hurt. He has a knee injury. They say he's gonna be out for a month. I say that's a good thing because I think that Marte is lazy and Marte has this weird thing about him. So now we can play DJ Stewart back there. We can play Tyrone Taylor back there. Obviously you have to keep Nemo back there, and Bader's on fire too. So you have to keep Bader at center field. Keep Nemo at left, and then maybe Stewart and Taylor can platoon right field. And Marte's on his way out anyway. He's 36 years old. This is the end of his contract. He's hurt. Let's keep him. Let's keep him away. Let's keep him away. My dad seems to like him. He's like, yeah, he's been contributing lately. He's been hitting the ball hard, but he's lazy back there. He has a great arm. Don't get it twisted. I love his arm back there because people won't even dare tag up, in a situation where they think they have a chance because Marte's arm is so ridiculous and he's so precise that, all right, maybe in the playoffs if he's good and ready. But right now at the moment, I think we have all the pieces and they have chemistry. This is the most important thing. But the only problem I really have right now is the problem at first because Peter is still not really hitting the way he's supposed to. There's a lot of pressure there. He's playing for a contract. There's something wrong there. So when it comes to Alonso and McNeil, let's play Iglesias at second. And maybe we can play JD at first. And then figure out who our DH is. Maybe we can make Stewart the DH when Tyrone Taylor's playing right field. We give Peter Alonso a break, put JD Martinez on first. You know what I'm saying? We can make the lineup even stronger than it is right now at the moment. All right, there's different ways to do it, but I don't think McNeil should be playing second right now at all. I think he's hurting the lineup, and I think we can produce a lot more runs if he wasn't playing. That's just my opinion. What do I know? I'm just a fan.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, you gotta enjoy the roller coaster because that's what baseball is. It's a long season. It's a marathon. Enjoy the roller coaster. Enjoy the fun moments. Live in the moments. It's easy to get caught up and say, "Oh, here we go again." Blah blah blah. Like I got into that moment. Just with the Orioles losing 5 games, losing, I go back to my old school ways. Oh, we're just horrible. Here, the old school Orioles always pooping the bed.
No, no,
But
no.
but it's like no, they're okay. They're 10 games above 500. So same thing with the Mets. Yeah, they're under 500, and most the first half of the season, the first quarter of the season they were awful. But now you're doing well, you're winning. So it's like, is this the team that I think they really are, or the team before when the season started? Is that who they really are? I don't know, but enjoy the moment, have fun, and let it ride out its course. But like I said, it's exciting. If I'm the Mets, keep winning and see what happens. But with that being said, one thing we like to do at the end of every episode is highlight the best pitcher of the week and the best hitter of the week. So for this week, our pitcher, the gunslinger of the week, resides with the Houston Astros, and his name is Ronald Blanco. He had an amazing start against the Detroit Tigers. He had 7 hitless innings with striking out 9 batters. Eight batters, excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
8.
striking out 8 batters with 3 walks in a 4-1 win against the Detroit Tigers. So he's the one that I think at the beginning of the year he had a no hitter at the beginning of the year or something like that, or a
I
perfect
believe
game,
so.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. We highlighted him earlier
Early,
during
yeah,
the year. We definitely did. I remember that. And on top of
yes,
that, he played in that sweep that the Houston Astros had against the O's.
yes, he had a
Yes,
good
he
game
did.
against
He had a
them.
good game
So
against them as well. So
yeah,
you know
he could
what?
be an all-star.
He definitely. I agree. I agree. And then of course the hit of the week. Josh Naylor for the Cleveland Guardians. Once again, we're talking about the Guardians once again. 10 out of 25, batting 400, 3 home runs and 8 RBIs. That's ridiculous. Okay, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
What's
really
going
good.
on over there? It's really
He's
happening
carried
over
that
there.
team.
Yeah.
What's crazy about the Cleveland team? Just to back up a little bit, is that Cleveland they lost their best manager that they've ever had, Terry Francona, and they have not missed a beat. I don't even know. I can't even tell you the name of the managers because he's no one I don't know about. But they seem to doing well. The managers, I guess, the general manager, they got the right pieces, and they're gonna probably win that division. Minnesota started off hot for a while, then just fell off, and it seems like that's Cleveland's division to lose, if not. But yeah, so Josh Neller's been great, and Blanco's been great. It's interesting. Both Houston right now. If the season were to end, they would not be a playoff team. But they're getting hot at the right time, so who knows what they'll be. But
Yeah,
it'll be
listen,
interesting.
they're only 4.5 games out of the division. So the Mariners right now are 46 and 37, and the Houston Astros are a legit 500 team now, 40 and 40. Okay, 4.5 games out. They have to play the Mets very shortly. Let's see what happens. You know what I'm saying? Two hot ball clubs. You know, Houston, winners of 7 in a row. They're doing the right thing. Last 10, 8 out of 2. You know, they won 8, lost 2. Last 10. They're on fire. And let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, you know? It's becoming super interesting. There's a lot of baseball left. The Mets are 13 and a half games out in their division, right? And I think they might have a shot at catching up to Atlanta. The way Atlanta's been playing lately, you know, they won 6 out of their last 10. The Mets have won 8 out of the last 2. But June has been very, very good for the Mets. And if they win tonight, you know, they're gonna be moving in the right direction. You know, I just don't understand it. It's kind of crazy. It's kind
Yeah,
of
Mets would
crazy.
be 5 games behind in the win column. So with Atlanta Atlanta had a doubleheader today. They split the doubleheader.
Got you.
So, but either way, the Mets still gain ground on the Braves. But like I said, it'll be interesting, and we'll see what next week brings.
Yeah. And then I have a have a little trivia for you. This is gonna be a very good trivia question. I don't know if you remember this guy. Let's see what happens. So I want you to answer this question: Who holds the record for most consecutive stolen bases without getting caught?
Ooh. So the guys, I had 3 guys in mind.
Okay.
But you're saying that some I probably wouldn't know. So he's probably not a familiar name. So it's not going to be Henderson. It's not going to be Acuna. It's not going to be L.A. De La Cruz.
Nope.
Um, would it be? No, it wouldn't be Reggie Jackson because that's someone I would know. It's probably some freaking name I've never heard of.
No, he was. I'm not saying he wasn't a household name, but if you're really into baseball and you were as a kid, you would definitely know his name. It's he was somebody I definitely knew and I was watching.
Okay, I'll just give it a shot. I'll go with Bernie Williams. I don't know.
Definitely not. That guy, I love Bernie Williams, and I don't think he was that fast. You know what I'm saying? But he was a good hitter, though. But the answer is Vince Coleman.
Who the
And
heck is that?
oh wow, that's crazy that you don't know him. See, I mean, I am a little older than you, so like I definitely remember Vince Coleman. I
What
believe.
years did he play?
Oh well, this streak of his ran from 89 to 90, right? And he stole 50 bases consecutively without getting caught. That's insane.
And
Insane.
that's insane. 89 to 90. So
Yes.
I was from the age of 2 to 4. So yeah,
Okay. So
and
yeah,
I didn't
so
even
you would.
speak English.
Yeah, there you go. You see that? That's crazy, right? See, I remember that, because I was 10 in 86 when the Mets won, right? So that would make me like 13. And at that age, I was really following the game, but,
Wow,
you
you
know,
remember when the Mets won? That's amazing. I can't remember. I can't in my
yeah,
life. None of the teams, none of them have won in my lifetime. The closest team, I don't. Baltimore might be the Baltimore has been the closest team that's made it to the playoffs and done well, and they just couldn't get over the hump. But and the Devils. Oh, I'll take that back. The New Jersey Devils won in 2004. I remember that. But they've been to the Stanley Cup in 2014. But as far as like that I remember, the Devils would probably be the last team I remember that actually won a championship for the teams I liked.
yeah. When you're younger and you really love the sport, it's amazing how much information you can collect and how much stuff you can remember. Like there's this guy that we want to bring onto the podcast, as a guest, and he's he just turned 21, but his knowledge of the game is so amazing. He reminds me of you. Like you're a lot older than he is, but you retain a lot of knowledge. And you know, this guy, he's just amazing. Like when we talk baseball, he's always putting me on to like information and telling me these different stats and things that I had no idea about. So like I want to bring him onto the show. I want you guys to talk, and his dad because you worked for his dad for a
Yeah, he was
while.
my manager.
Yeah, and he's a great guy, but his son is a sponge, and
It's
oh man, he's a sponge.
Yeah, that's fine. You just brought back a childhood memory because you were saying he knows a lot of information. Growing up, in the early 2000s, we didn't have the internet. You know what I mean? So I got all my information from the sports page, and it was cool because they tell you all the standings, It would lay out all the stats, who had the best home runs, who had the best ERA. All that information was in the newspapers. So that's how I
Yeah.
remember. And my dad was amazed because like I didn't write things down, but he could ask me who has the best hitter, who has the most home runs. Oh, that's easy. That Alex Rodriguez, or that's who has the most doubles. Oh, that's Derek Jeter. Things like that. I could rattle them off,
You
and it used to
see?
drive him crazy because when they come to do schoolwork, hey Lasha, what's 4 times 4? I don't know. He be like, I don't understand my son. The boy knows who the home run king is, but he can't tell me what. It drive my father crazy. But it's just about like the brain is amazing because when you want to learn something, you'll
Yeah.
process and you'll
You
learn it.
retain
When
it.
it's something you
Yeah.
don't want, you throw it
You
out the
don't care
window.
for it. Yeah, you don't care for it. But when it's something you really like and love, you retain the information. That's how crazy it is. Like I said, like as a young kid, I can tell you all the players on that '86 team. I can tell you, how good they were, and I definitely remember, watching a lot of baseball at that age, and I was in love with it. I the majority of the games I played, the video games, they were all baseball games. Like I love like sitting down in front of the television and a lot of these games back in the day, these video games, they didn't actually have the names of the players that were on the field for the team that you love, but I would change the names of the players. I'd be like, that's the catcher I'm hitting now. Well, guess what? That's Gary Carter, and I'm gonna hit a home run with him right now. It's funny like that. Like, now we have great games like the show, and they really do a lot of hard work to make sure that this game is so close to what it's really like out there on the field, and you get to manage the team, and you're working with the actual players, and the stats are there. Everything is you can trade and do all this ridiculous stuff with these games now, but it wasn't like that back in the day. It was like, okay, so this random dude with a random name with the right number though, you know the you play with the Mets, and they had the right colors and they had the right numbers, so you knew that the catcher number 8 was Gary Carter, but they weren't able to actually use that name because they would get sued for that. So like they didn't have the proper channels, or they didn't want to spend that kind of money to put the catcher's name on there. But it's okay though because I knew who he was, and that's what I was playing. I love playing those baseball games, those old school baseball games. But whatever, we're coming to the end of the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. There was a lot of anger and opinions on what we think should be going on and why we hate this and that. But it's gonna be interesting. This season is so different from any of the seasons that I remember. And I can't wait for the trade deadline to come around because I really need to know if Toronto's gonna let go, because that's where the gold is. That's the end of the rainbow for this trade deadline. They have so many great players, and I want to see them move on and help other teams prevail. And I'm dying to see what happens to the Mets. Can we really pull this off? Can we really pull this off? I don't know, but I won't be surprised if they don't, like they always do. They always fail at the end of the season. We've seen it happen so many times over. And I also want to see the O's take that division and go for a long run. I want to see them in the big game. I want to see them there, and I want to cheer for them. You know, and God forbid that the O's and the Mets get involved in that situation. All right, to see a World Series of that caliber. Oh man, whatever. This is the end of the show. Have a good night, and I hope you guys
See you
enjoyed
next week.
yourselves. Definitely, brother.